Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Star Wars Out of the Box with me, Dill Streep. Each episode I reach into this box of old Star Wars toys, books and memorabilia, grab an item, discuss it, its place within Star Wars and what it means to me. If this is your first visit to my channel, you might think the box is pretty light on items, but feel free to click up here to visit the very first episode that I did when this box was chock-a-block full. It was the Star Wars Micro Machines C-3PO/Cantina transforming playset. But back to today's episode, let's see what's in the box. I just couldn't keep you waiting for the conclusion. It's the Star Wars book and cassette pack, Return of the Jedi. That's right, it's the Star Wars book and cassette pack, Return of the Jedi. It's still mint in box, but don't worry, as I explained with A New Hope, I actually managed to get my hands on the exact same set from a good friend Christian, so let me just get that instead. Alright, let's not waste any more time. The stage is set. Vader is revealed to be Luke's father, Han is frozen in carbonite, and Luke was a bit too impatient to complete his training with Yoda. Let's see what happens in Part 3, Return of the Jedi. Alright, it's a thrilling conclusion to the Star Wars book and cassette series I've been doing. It's 1983's Return of the Jedi. Let's go.
Hello, I am C-3PO, and you are about to listen to the story of Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. You can also read along with the story in your book.
He's got a little extra spring in his step.
Already programmed to know when the pages end. You will know it is time to turn the page when you hear this sound. I believe the storyteller is ready, so let us begin.
A long time ago.
I wonder why they didn't just use him as the storyteller.
Luke Skywalker had returned.
Oh my word, I've only just realized for the first time that there's actually credits here. C-3PO Anthony Daniels. It seems to be the only one that's an original voice.
Even more powerful than the dreaded Death Star. When completed,
just like I said, Anthony Daniels will always do a C-3PO voice no matter what. No matter how weird the project. Oh, that sound was hidden in the flight of a ship.
Imperial troops stood nervously as Darth Vader's shuttle landed. The Dark Lord approached the commander.
This should be frightening.
Put you back on schedule.
I tell you, this station will be operational as planned.
The Emperor does not share your appraisal of the situation.
But he asked the impossible.
Then perhaps you can tell him when he arrives.
The Emperor is coming here. We shall double our efforts.
I hope so, Commander.
Haha!
The Emperor is
The original, firstly, is more British sounding than American. Secondly, he says we shall double our efforts, the fastest that anyone has ever said it. Go look for that scene and try say it as quickly as he does.
C-3PO and R2-D2 had found the palace of Jabba the Hutt, where the frozen Han Solo was being held captive. As the droids stood before Jabba, R2 projected a message.
I am Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight and friend to Captain Solo. I seek an audience with your greatness to bargain for Han Solo's life. With your wisdom, I'm sure that we can work out an arrangement that will enable us to avoid any unpleasant confrontation.
Jabba growled his answer. There would be no bargain. Moments later, a mysterious bounty hunter, pulling Chewbacca behind him in chains, approached Jabba's throne. Jabba gleefully paid the bounty on the Wookiee, then sent him to the dungeon. That night, while
Gleefully paid the bounty.
the bounty hunter returned.
It was while she was
and went
holding out
directly
a
to Han's carbonite
thermal
slide.
detonator.
He pressed
I'd
a
say he
few
had no
buttons on his
choice.
side. And Han was free of the carbonite. The bounty hunter was Leia.
I've got to get you out of here.
A curtain parted, and behind it were Jabba and his gang. Now they were all prisoners. Han and Chewbacca were in the dungeon, and Leia was Jabba's servant. Suddenly, a dark figure appeared before Jabba.
I'm taking Captain Solo and his friends. You can either profit by this, or be destroyed.
It was Luke. The gangster slammed his fist on a table, causing a trapdoor to open beneath the young Jedi.
A gangster, I like that.
Filthy pit where a monstrous creature stomped toward him. Luke dodged its attacks and finally crushed it under the heavy cell door. Jabba was furious.
Jabba was absolutely gutted.
Jabba then sentenced Luke
What about the Rancor handler?
pit of Carcoon.
He was inconsolable.
A terrifying carnivorous sand monster. As Luke walked the plank over the pit, R2-D2 threw his lightsaber to him. The Jedi swung at his captors. Then Han and Lando battled the forces on their skiff, while Luke rescued Leia. In a matter of moments, Jabba was dead, and our heroes were taking off in the Millennium Falcon to meet the rest of the Rebel Alliance. Much later, Luke left the group.
In a matter of moments, Jabba was dead.
to Dagobah.
Well, that's taking away a pretty powerful Leia moment.
To an old friend.
When Luke arrived, he found that Yoda was very ill.
No more training do you require. Already know that which you need. You must confront Vader.
This just sounds like me and my friends doing Yoda.
Only then, a Jedi, will you be.
Master Yoda, is Darth Vader my father?
Your father he is. Luke, there is another Skywalker.
The old Jedi Master closed his eyes and vanished. As Luke prepared to leave, Ben Kenobi appeared.
Ghosty one Kenobi.
Obi-Wan, you told me Vader betrayed and murdered my father.
Your father was the
Definitely production stills, as they don't have the ghostly glow on him.
became Darth Vader.
Yoda spoke of another.
The other he spoke of is your twin sister.
Leia. Leia's my sister.
Never get used to a ghost sitting down on a log.
They do you credit, but they could be made to serve the Emperor.
Luke returned to the rebel fleet and joined his friends in the main briefing room, where the plan of attack was being outlined. One of the admirals announced that the Emperor himself was aboard the new Death Star, overseeing the final stages of the construction. A strike force headed by General Han Solo would go to the moon.
Many Bothans had to die to bring you that information, Mr. Storyteller. Put some respect on their name.
A group led by General Lando Calrissian would fly into the Death Star to blow up the main reactor.
A funny sound effect after such an ominous sounding mission.
As they sneaked through its thick forest, they were spotted by a group of stormtroopers
Is it
on
sneaked
speeder
or
bikes.
snuck?
Luke and Leia jumped
They
onto an
snuck
available
through.
bike and took off. Zooming around the trees, Luke jumped from Leia's bike onto the back of a nearby stormtroopers and pushed him off. Suddenly, more stormtroopers raced up behind
Oh, you've
them.
got time to describe that.
One way, Leia another. With a swing of his lightsaber, Luke cut the fins of one stormtrooper's bike, and it went spinning into.
Gosh, they're going into such minor detail now.
Luke caught up with.
Where was
Han
this when he
and
was
found
training
Leia
with Yoda?
hadn't returned.
In the last book.
They set out to look for her, but were caught in a trap set by the furry Ewoks. When the Ewoks saw C-3PO, they thought he was a god. They escorted him and the others back to their village, where Leia was waiting. It was there that C-3PO told the Ewoks of our heroes' incredible adventure and their struggle against the Empire. The Ewoks declared our friends.
I really like that the question has been asked, where did Leia get such long hair extensions? She comes out having been treated by the Ewoks.
Seconds later,
Her hair goes like all the way down her back.
outside.
Did they just have human hair extensions?
Vader is here.
Is it Ewok hair?
On this moon, I have to face him.
Wookiee hair? So many
He's
questions.
my father. There's more. The Force is strong in my family. My father has it, I have it, and my sister has it. You are my sister.
Leia looked at her brother.
I know. Somehow I've always known. But why must you confront him?
Because there is good in him. I can save him.
Luke left and turned himself over to the Empire, where he was met by Darth Vader.
The Emperor has been expecting you.
I know, Father.
So you have accepted the truth.
I have accepted that you were once Anakin Skywalker, my father.
That name no longer
This little
has any
exchange
meaning
between
for
Luke
me.
and Vader is probably one of the best parts of Star Wars.
I feel the conflict within you. Let go of your hate.
It is too late for me, son.
This is the end of side 1. Please turn the page and turn the tape over.
Can do.
Lando led his fleet toward the Death Star, while Han, Leia, and the Ewoks approached the energy shield on Endor. At the same time, Luke was brought to the Emperor aboard the battle station.
Welcome, young Skywalker.
Not enough milk in your throat for that Emperor impression.
That has transpired.
Welcome, young Skywalker.
According to my design. Your friends on Endor are walking into a trap, as is your rebel fleet.
Luke looked out the window and saw an entire legion of Imperial Star Destroyers waiting for the rebels. On Endor, the rebels couldn't make a move. Stormtroopers were all over them.
Freeze, you rebel scum!
Suddenly, the stormtroopers were pelted with rocks and sticks as the Ewoks came out of their hiding places and attacked. The battle for Endor had begun. Meanwhile, Lando and his group came out of hyperspace, only to find the
Oh, you know it's coming.
still up.
Don't tell me they skipped
TIE
it.
fighters were there, waiting for them.
Come on. What? Where is Admiral Akbar?
It's a trap.
From here, you will witness the destruction of the Alliance and the end of your insignificant rebellion.
Luke felt the dark side crawling within him. He controlled it as much as he could, but it was a tough struggle. His lightsaber was within reach.
Great juxtaposition between tiny little battle going on inside Luke's face and emotions and head,
The Emperor laughed maniacally as Luke
and the massive battle going on outside and down on Endor.
On Endor, the Ewoks were gaining ground as the battle wore on. Now there were Imperial scout walkers blasting and smashing their way through the forest. But the Ewoks ambushed the machines by tripping them with vines and crushing them with logs. Meanwhile, Han and Leia were trying to enter the bunker. High above, Lando was leading an attack on the Imperial Star Destroyers until Han could get the shield down. But time was running out. He couldn't hold the Empire back for too much longer. Aboard the Death Star, Vader searched for the young Skywalker who had slipped into the shadows.
You cannot hide forever, Luke. Give yourself to the dark side. It is the only way to save your friends. Your feelings for them are strong, especially for your sister.
Sister.
You have a twin sister. If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
Luke went for Darth Vader, slashing wildly. He pounded the Dark Lord with his lightsaber, forcing him to the floor. The Emperor laughed, and Luke suddenly realized what he had done. He tossed his weapon aside.
I'll never turn to the dark side. You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
So be it, Jedi.
The Emperor raised his hands. Bright blue bolts of electricity shot from his fingers and zapped Luke.
If you will not be turned, you will be destroyed.
More energy struck Luke as he collapsed to the floor. Darth Vader struggled to his feet and stood beside his master. Meanwhile, the rebels and the Ewoks managed to defeat the Imperial troops. They had placed several bombs in the control room, and in a matter of seconds, the entire shield generator had exploded. Aboard the Millennium Falcon, Lando got word that the shield was down, so he restarted his attack run into the Death Star. Dodging the Imperial TIE fighters, Lando led the rebels through the superstructure and headed straight for the main reactor. Back in his chamber, the Emperor glared at Luke, twisting in pain on the floor.
Now, young Skywalker, you will die.
Again, he blasted the Jedi Knight. Vader looked at his doomed son, and then at his master. Suddenly, Vader grabbed the Emperor from the back and lifted him over his head. The Emperor's energy bolts were now blasting Vader as he carried his master over to an open pit.
Nothing like seeing his skeleton shine through his suit.
He hurled his evil ruler over the edge.
I don't get enough of that in movies anymore. It's that one and Home Alone.
The great warrior fell to the floor. Luke crawled to his father's side and pulled him to safety. They were both too weak to move. Not far away, Lando and his team found the main reactor and fired at its supports. The massive structure began to collapse.
Look at those bushy eyebrows on Anakin.
Headed for their escape route. Inside the battle station.
Sure hope somebody erases them one day with the special edition re-release.
Help me take this mask off.
Luke then removed his father's breath screen and looked at the man beneath the mask.
Now go, my son. Leave me.
No. I can't leave you here. I've got to save you.
You already have, Luke. You were right about me. Tell your sister you were right.
Anakin closed his eyes.
Beautiful.
He was gone.
Chilling.
After Luke pulled his father's armor aboard the shuttle, he lifted off from the docking bay. At that same moment, Lando, chased by flames, flew out of the Death Star. They both managed to escape just as the Death Star exploded in a giant fireball.
I'm glad that they didn't undercut that moment with that chime. Oh, look at that. Sebastian Shaw as a Force Ghost. This book is definitely more valuable than I thought.
As the smoke rose overhead, X-Wing fighters flew by, setting off fireworks in the sky. Elsewhere in the galaxy, there were similar celebrations going on. Off on his own, Luke saw the ghostly images of Yoda, Ben, and his father, smiling gratefully. The Jedi smiled back and rejoined his sister and friends. At last, freedom had been restored to the galaxy.
Wow, what a perfectly told story that ties up the promises along the way in a neat little bow by the end. I sure hope somebody doesn't come along in 40 years and undo that sacrifice that Anakin made at the end by bringing the Emperor back. That would be a terrible idea. Thank you so much for joining me on this 3-part journey as we relive the adventure of Star Wars through the magic of book and tape. Until next time, goodbye. But feel free to click up here. To visit the very first episode that I did with the C-3PO. But feel free to click up here